I love that in a life that I got to live before I knew them, my priorities were different.
You won't believe what Drew Barrymore just opened up about. And honestly, it left fans in tears. During a recent episode of the Drew Barrymore Show, she got emotional and revealed a shocking breast cancer scare that had everyone holding their breath. Her touching story is that of a woman who had a bad mammogram and had to wait 5 long days for results. 5 days of fear, hope, and endless what-ifs. Thankfully, Drew's okay now, but her raw honesty about that terrifying moment will make you see her in a whole new light. Don't blink. What led Drew Barrymore to share her diagnosis scare? The recent health scare had prompted Drew Barrymore to open up to her audience in a way she had never done before. The 50-year-old talk show host, who had always been known for her warmth and openness, decided to reveal something deeply personal during a meaningful conversation with comedian and breast cancer survivor Tig Notaro on the November 3rd episode of The Drew Barrymore Show. Many viewers could tell right away that this was not just another interview, it was a genuine moment of vulnerability. She chose that particular time to share her experience because, after watching Notaro's documentary, Come See Me in the Good Light, which follows poet Andrea Gibson's journey through terminal cancer, she had found the courage and clarity she needed to speak out. One could almost feel that the documentary had unlocked something in her, a realization that silence wasn't serving her anymore. Barrymore explained to Notaro that she had wanted to discuss a certain subject on her show for quite some time, but she simply didn't know how to begin. She admitted it was a difficult topic to approach, one that carried a kind of emotional weight that made her hesitant. She said that after watching the documentary, she finally felt she might be able to start scratching the surface because of the bravery and honesty that Tig and Andrea had shown. It seemed like their willingness to confront pain had inspired Drew to do the same. Sometimes, that's exactly how courage works. One person opens their heart, and suddenly, another finds the strength to stop pretending everything's fine. But what Drew revealed next wasn't just brave, it was heartbreaking. For years, she's been the face of joy and resilience, but behind that familiar smile was a truth she could no longer hide. This moment changed everything. And once you hear what Drew Barrymore is finally saying goodbye to after her tragic diagnosis, you'll understand why this story hits so deeply. For Barrymore, this moment wasn't just about her own story. It was about something she had always believed in, that talking about pain helps people heal. She recalled lessons she had learned earlier in her life, saying that she was once taught that sitting down to talk about things instead of sweeping them under the rug makes everything better in the long run. She said that this belief was the foundation of her show. Her talk show wasn't just entertainment for her, it was a kind of safe space where honest conversations could make people feel seen and less alone. Her decision to open up also carried an extra layer of meaning because she had long been an advocate for cancer screenings. Just a year before, she had filmed herself getting a mammogram to encourage viewers to overcome their fear of checkups. That moment, she had said, was about breaking down the stigma and fear that surrounded health screenings. So when she later revealed that she had personally gone through a health scare, it wasn't just another story, it was proof that she truly practiced what she preached. After all, wasn't it easier to tell others to be brave than to be brave yourself? As she spoke, the atmosphere in the studio grew tender. Barrymore became emotional as she recounted the 5 long days she had spent waiting for her biopsy results. She made sure to reassure her audience that she was completely fine now, but her face and tone told a story of quiet anxiety and reflection. She described how her heart had sunk after receiving a bad mammogram and being rushed into an emergency biopsy. She said those 5 days of waiting had felt endless. Who hasn't known the torment of waiting for an answer you can't control, especially when that answer could change everything. Even though her results eventually turned out fine, she said those days had reminded her how fragile peace of mind could be. Notaro, sitting across from her, nodded with deep understanding. She responded gently, acknowledging how long and heavy that weight can feel. In that brief exchange, both women seemed to connect on a level beyond words. Two people who understood that no amount of optimism could fully silence the fear of what if. Barrymore then asked Notaro how she had managed to stay calm through her own experience, how she had found peace in uncertainty. That question wasn't just polite curiosity, it was genuine seeking. She wanted to learn, to find ways to stay grounded when life suddenly throws fear in your face. It became clear that Barrymore's decision to share her story wasn't about drawing attention to herself. It was about showing that vulnerability is not weakness. She wanted to remind people that talking about difficult things doesn't make them heavier. It often makes them lighter. She seemed to believe that by breaking her silence, someone else out there might find the courage to schedule their own screening, to talk about their fears, or to reach out for comfort instead of bottling everything up. And wasn't that the beauty of human connection, that one person's story could echo quietly into someone else's life and make a difference? As the conversation went on, viewers could sense that Barrymore wasn't just revisiting a scare, but reflecting on what it meant to face fear with honesty. Her words carried that familiar blend of warmth and sincerity that people had always loved her for. She spoke not as a celebrity, but as a human being who had been frightened, who had waited, who had prayed for good news, and who had realized that sharing her story could help others feel less alone. Through this emotional revelation, she reminded her audience that life's scariest moments often teach the most powerful lessons about patience, gratitude, and the importance of talking things through instead of hiding behind a brave face. Barrymore's revelation was more than just a personal confession. It was a revelation that courage doesn't always come from grand gestures. It often begins with quiet honesty. She had turned her fear into a conversation, her vulnerability into connection, and her story into comfort for others who might be silently struggling. And as she looked across at Notaro, both women smiled with that kind of understanding that only comes from having faced something uncertain and coming out stronger. After all, wasn't that what true strength really was? Not pretending to be fearless, but daring to speak up even when fear is still whispering in your ear? That's exactly what makes this next story so powerful. Because sometimes, the deepest connections are born out of shared pain, moments when laughter becomes a lifeline, and honesty becomes the bridge between two souls who've both seen darkness. And for Drew Barrymore and Tig Notaro, that connection wasn't just emotional, it was transformational. Their shared experience with cancer didn't just unite them, it reshaped the way they both see life, loss, and resilience. So stay with me till the very end, because what they revealed might just change how you see courage forever. How did Drew Barrymore and Tig Notaro connect over cancer? The conversation between Drew Barrymore and Tig Notaro on The Drew Barrymore Show turned into something much deeper than the usual celebrity chat. It wasn't just about fame, careers, or upcoming projects. It became a moment filled with genuine emotion, honesty, and connection. As they sat together, sharing their personal experiences with health challenges, something powerful unfolded. Two women opening up about pain, fear, survival, and the surprising beauty of vulnerability. Isn't it amazing how two people from such different worlds can connect so deeply through shared struggles? Tig Notaro, known for her sharp humor and dry wit, spoke openly about her battle with breast cancer. She had been diagnosed in 2012 and went through a double mastectomy as part of her treatment, eventually entering remission in 2013. Drew listened with sincere admiration, calling Tig's way of speaking about her experience humorous, eloquent, fierce, and brilliant. And she meant every word. Drew wasn't just hosting a guest. She was listening, learning, and connecting. She seemed genuinely moved by how Tig could turn something as terrifying as cancer into a story that still carried light and hope. It made one wonder, how does someone find laughter in the darkest moments of their life? Barrymore later shared that Tig's openness had encouraged her to face her own fears and share her personal health story as well. She mentioned that after watching Tig's documentary, Come See Me in the Good Light, which follows poet Andrea Gibson's own cancer journey, she felt deeply inspired. Drew explained to her audience that the film offered an intimate look into not only the people's lives, but the emotional ups and downs of facing cancer head-on. In her voice, there was this quiet awe, almost as if she realized how powerful it is when people turn their pain into purpose. Isn't that what storytelling is all about? Finding meaning in what once felt unbearable? During their exchange, one of the most profound lessons Tig shared was about learning to accept help. She admitted that at first she was determined to do everything on her own. "I went from being somebody who held everything to myself," she recalled, describing how she tried to handle everything after her diagnosis without leaning on anyone. Even after surgery, when she couldn't lift her arms, she still told her friends she was fine. It was only later, when she truly couldn't manage alone, that she learned to let others in. She described how friends helped with chores, cooked her meals, and even assisted with her medical care, such as draining her wounds. Through those moments, Tig realized something she now wants everyone to understand. Asking for help doesn't make a person weak. It brings strength, connection, and relief. "What I can't encourage people enough to do is get over any sort of feeling that you can't ask for help," she said sincerely. "It is the greatest gift you can give yourself and the people that love you, because people want to help." That message seemed to strike Drew deeply, and even viewers could feel it. After all, how many people go through hard times thinking they must face it all alone? As the conversation continued, both women reflected on how sharing their stories publicly helped them heal. Tig talked about her now famous 2012 stand-up performance where she had walked on stage and began with the line, "Hello, I have cancer." At the time, the audience didn't know whether to laugh or cry, but looking back, Tig explained that it was her way of reaching out, of asking for help through honesty. She had turned her pain into art, and through that, she found her way toward healing. For Drew, opening up on television about her own mammogram scare came from that same place of vulnerability. She realized that by sharing her fears publicly, she wasn't just helping herself, but also creating a space where others could feel seen and understood. It was a reminder that vulnerability isn't something to hide from. It's something that binds people together. Isn't it true that when someone speaks their truth, it gives others permission to do the same? By the end of the conversation, what lingered wasn't just their words, but the emotional honesty behind them. They reminded everyone that being vulnerable doesn't take away your strength. It reveals it. Their discussion was not about pity or fear. It was about courage, connection, and the quiet, powerful act of letting others in. Both Drew Barrymore and Tig Notaro showed that even in the spotlight, celebrities are human too. They laugh, they cry, they struggle, and they heal. And in that moment on the show, they offered something rare in television. A conversation that truly touched hearts, making people think about how they handle their own battles and who they allow to help them through it. It was more than just an interview. It was a reminder that everyone has a story worth telling, and that sometimes the bravest thing a person can do is admit that they can't do it all alone. And really, isn't that what makes us human? The courage to stay open even when it hurts, and the grace to let others love us through it. Drew Barrymore's story captures that perfectly. What she shared didn't just move hearts, it changed lives. Stay with me till the end, because what she did next redefined courage for countless women battling breast cancer. Why Barrymore's story matters for breast cancer awareness? Beyond simply revealing something personal, Drew Barrymore's decision to share her breast cancer scare seemed to carry a much deeper meaning. It wasn't just about her, it was about using her voice for something bigger. Many people might wonder, why would someone so famous choose to open up about something so private? But that's the very reason it matters. Health advocates often say that when celebrities share their personal health experiences, it can change the way people think, talk, and act about their own well-being. And in Barrymore's case, her openness didn't just make headlines. It got people thinking about breast cancer screening in a very real, human way. As a public figure, her influence naturally stretches far and wide. Millions tune in to her daytime talk show every week, watching her laugh, cry, and speak with that mix of warmth and honesty that feels so rare on television today. Her show reaches people from all walks of life, some who grew up watching her in movies like E.T. or Never Been Kissed, and others from younger generations who might know her more from social media clips. Isn't it remarkable how someone who has lived so much of her life in the public eye can still manage to connect so deeply with people on such a personal level? That kind of trust gives her an extraordinary ability to reach audiences that might not otherwise hear or care about topics like breast cancer screening. By talking about her mammogram and the scare that followed, Barrymore stepped into a small but powerful group of celebrities who use their platforms to make medical issues less taboo. She didn't speak about it with fear or dramatics, but with honesty and relatability. And that's what makes a difference. Many women delay or avoid mammograms altogether, often because of fear, embarrassment, or the belief that they're not necessary yet. But when someone like Barrymore shows herself going through it, in real time and without filters, it normalizes the process. It reminds women everywhere that getting screened is not something to hide or be ashamed of. It's just part of taking care of yourself. Doesn't it make you wonder how many lives could be saved if more people saw these procedures for what they are? Simple, vital steps toward prevention? This isn't even the first time Barrymore has used her platform to bring awareness to women's health. Long before this latest revelation, she had already taken steps to make such conversations more open. Just last October, she filmed herself getting a mammogram on her show, breaking down every step so viewers could see exactly what the process looked like. It wasn't polished or overly edited, it was real. And in that honesty, there was comfort. Viewers who had never gone through a screening before could suddenly imagine themselves doing it. They could see it wasn't as scary as they'd thought. That kind of visibility can calm fears and encourage action in a way that public service announcements or medical pamphlets never could. Her actions reflected a quiet but powerful understanding that people often need to see someone they trust doing something before they feel brave enough to do it themselves. She seemed to recognize that her influence could be used not to sell something, but to teach and reassure. Isn't it something when a celebrity chooses purpose over performance? It's rare, but when it happens, it leaves an impression that lasts far beyond a news cycle. In doing all this, Barrymore demonstrated that advocacy doesn't always have to come with fanfare or statistics. Sometimes it's about empathy. It's about saying, I've been there too. And showing that even someone as famous and accomplished as she is still has fears, still gets checkups, and still faces moments of uncertainty about her health. That shared vulnerability can spark change in ways that big campaigns often can't. So, beyond the headlines and interviews, Drew Barrymore's openness served as a gentle but powerful reminder that taking care of your health is not something to postpone or downplay. She reminded people that early detection really does save lives, and she showed what it looks like to take that seriously without losing warmth or humor. And isn't that the kind of influence the world needs more of? People who can turn their own experiences into lessons that help others live longer, healthier lives? Through her honesty, she reminded everyone that awareness doesn't have to start with fear. It can start with courage, compassion, and a little bit of conversation. With this, we have come to the end of this video. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, do well to like, comment, and subscribe for more content. To enjoy more thrilling stories, click now on the following video that pops up on your screen.